Hi, IWF. We're here today with Brenda Freeman. Hi, Brenda.
Hello, Melanie.
So, get us started by telling everyone about yourself, how you got to Miami, and I guess also in Baltimore, because that's where you are, or where I'm talking to you now. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So born and raised in Baltimore, and I come from a family of engineers. So from my dad down to my youngest sister, family of six. I have one sibling who somehow escaped being an engineer. All of us started out as engineers, and the last 20 years or so, I guess, I've pretty much lived at the intersection of like technology, marketing, and probably great brands. And so, my career early on took me to many great cities. And I pretty much for the last 20 years or so, I've been, living for good chunks of time in different places as my career expanded. And, starting out in New York, when I was as a marketer, as a marketer, I should say I started out really in consumer packaged goods. So I actually initially started out at Pepsi Cola, and I was working for Frito-Lay. I actually worked for for Pepsi as well. Did that brand marketing, very traditional marketing type of career track until a friend slash mentor who was probably about 5 or 10 years ahead of me was about to run ABC radio networks and wanted some marketers to actually come with him. And I said, well, okay, this could be kind of interesting. So I did that for a couple of years, realized I loved the media space, but I really wanted to get more into television. And so from there, I moved from Dallas. Actually, I was in Dallas with Pepsi Cola. I moved from there to New York with Viacom. And I was at Viacom. I worked for Nickelodeon. I ran marketing for VH1. And then I moved to Atlanta, where I was CMO for Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. I stayed in Atlanta for about 6.5 years, loved it. Ended up moving further west when I was head of television marketing for DreamWorks. Did that for a couple of years. Then I moved back east, lived in DC, close to home in Georgetown, and I was CMO for National Geographic channels. But from there, that's what got me to Miami. I went back to my, I guess, technical roots, if you will, with Magic Leap. And so I was chief marketing officer for Magic Leap in Miami. Absolutely fell in love with Miami. Said, regardless of where I move, if I move after that, I'm plunking down some roots here. So stayed at Magic Leap for a bit, and then also ran an e-commerce company in Miami, an art supply e-commerce company. Since then, fast forward now, I'm in Miami. I would say I'm kind of like in my chapter 2 of my career, where I sit on a number of public boards and private boards, and I pretty much advise startups to help them scale. Long
That's
answer.
quite a journey. It's a long journey. So how did
Melanie, I'm
you go?
old. A lot of years in
Not
that
yet.
career path.
Not yet. So how did it go from engineer to marketing? How did that happen?
Yeah, I think honestly, I have to start like in the home, because all of us, we were all left brain, right brain, techie, but creative types. I mean, I remember my father, as a civil engineer on the weekends, he pretty much jerry-rigged our entire house with speakers. This was back before there were smart homes and surround sound and all that good stuff. Like my dad, I remember him putting actual speakers, like somehow putting them in the corners of all the rooms. And on the weekends, we were all like these, like these little musicians from Sound of Music. Like we would literally sit there and kind of jam. And my dad taught me how to play a ukulele, and I played the violin, and my younger sister played the flute. He played bongos and guitar and all of that. So, I mean, I think the sort of the creative, uh, the creative genes were always there, sort of, brewed in with the technical space, and certainly is been part of the influence of things that I do, let's say when I'm not at work, because I'm constantly, I think, liking to feed that creative side of my brain.
Amazing. So, you said you were phase two, but if someone were to ask you, Brenda, what do you do now? What's the answer?
Yeah, primarily I would say I help scale companies. I am chief brand officer for a digital marketing company, but a lot of what I do, I tend to mentor a lot of founders, to be honest. And I tend to, and as a board director, I tend to occupy a chair where they want a resident expert who's just maniacal about consumer and trends, and how to reach them, where they they want to be messaged, how they want to be messaged, and the technology that's come along over the 20-25 years or so since I've been in marketing has just changed so much, and I've been staying on top of those trends. And so that's a lot of what I bring, I think, to my advisory practice, and also as a board director.
So that's a lot of work. Tell us how you connect with the community beyond your profession.
Sure. And some of my passions, I would say, are tied in with other fellow IWF members who I knew before I realized that they were IWF. And that's one of the glorious things of an organization like ours that's global. I stay, pretty connected to the arts. And so the Perez, the Bakehouse Art Complex, the director, who's actually an IWF member, Kathy Leff. As a matter of fact, I first found Bakehouse from a tour that was hosted by IWF, and it was right in my neighborhood in Midtown, and I didn't even realize it existed until that tour. And I just knew that I wanted to spend time there, and over time, I joined their board. So I tend to sponsor, a number of artists. I'm an art collector. I live in the art district. And so, I feel like my creative side of my brain is constantly being fed. And I also end up finding, fabulous members of the community by doing that.
Yeah, we certainly have a great selection, which I'm hoping everyone will meet. What's your favorite part about IWF?
Oh, wow. I would say it's a tie. One is the global conferences. I remember when I first joined, it might have been you, or it may have been, it was someone, because you were president at the time when I first joined. And I think it was someone that said, make time, everyone's busy. We all have busy calendars that are full, but make time for the global conferences. Like when they come out on the calendar, protect that, protect those dates. And I've been pretty lucky to have been able to do that for most of the global conferences since I've been a member. And they're just life-changing. I mean, honestly, they're amazing. I want to take my daughter to the next one in Helsinki. It's just the quality of the programming, the quality of the members. It doesn't matter who you sit next to on a tour bus. They're going to be someone amazing who you sit next to, at the small dine rounds. They've just been amazing. So I would say that's one, the global conferences. And then I would say on the local level for Miami, it's really our programming. We've got such amazing programming for everybody, either Zoom, in person. I mean, we have sort of like the full spectrum, and, everything from fabulous diversity conversations to to art being curated from some of our members, doing behind the scenes tours, getting access to Art Basel, before the rest of the crowds are able to come in, like all those sorts of things. The programming on a local level is fantastic.
Agreed. I actually sat next to you on a bus in Barcelona, I recall. So it might have been one of the first time, but I didn't ask you this question that I'm going to ask you now. What about you? What's something I could not find out about you with a Google search?
Oof. Google's so good at finding out everything. Okay, so I'll probably have to go way back. Probably the fact that I used to run track I started at the age of 10. All of my siblings, as a matter of fact, we all ran track.
Was your
And
race?
we did. I was a
Distance.
400 meter. I did the 400 meter and I did the 800 meters. And I also did long jump. Actually, that's probably one of the reasons why I have a hip replacement surgery scheduled in a couple of weeks. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm ready for becoming a bionic woman with my new hips. But so I've just been a runner for most of my life. That's probably not on the internet anywhere.
What a book or podcast are you recommending right now?
Ooh. So, okay, so I'm a bit of a podcast junkie, and I also am all about Audible. I usually listen to 2 or 3 books at a time. So I'll go with the books. I have 2 that are currently open on my phone. And it's Kindred, Octavia Butler.
Okay.
And who's an amazing person, author who recently passed away, but she's a sci-fi African-American author that does incredible sci-fi. And then George Martin's Fire and Blood, because I'm all about House of Dragon, Game of Thrones, and I was just so enthralled with the whole story that I decided to go back and download this mammoth of a book. It'll probably take me 3 years, Melanie, to get through it, but
I wrote them both down because I'm a huge Audible listener as well. Final question. If you were in charge of the playlist, which song would you be playing next?
Boy, I have lots of different playlists. Thank you, Apple Music and Spotify and Pandora. But I would say I'm all about the soulful stuff. So probably anything by Layla Hathaway, especially because of the holidays and everything. And her, she's the daughter of Donny Hathaway. And she's an amazing vocalist. So I would say any song by Layla Hathaway I would give the thumbs up on my playlist.
Nice. Well, thanks for being with us. Thanks, everyone. Take
Thanks,
care. Bye.
Melanie. Bye.